welcome back to the CoolFigurez channel. I'm your host, Jesse the Bat Magical, aka the Buff Collector. The information on the channel is intended for adult collectors and not children. And welcome, guys, to episode 29 of Coffee and Toys here on the CoolFigurez channel. We are going to go into this week's Coffee and Toys Live. We are going to go into the future episodes of Coffee and Toys Live. We are going to talk about this week's toy haul. As you can see, it was definitely good to us this week. And obviously, we're going to get into this week's toy news. So, all of that and more, so stay tuned. But first, if you're new, then welcome. This channel is all about cool action figures, analyzing them, hunting them, taking pics of them, and of course, playing with them. If that's your sort of thing, why don't you go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and while you're at it, go ahead and hit that bell notification icon so you stay notified when I do upload new content. If you do enjoy this video or any other videos that I put out, please remember to give them a thumbs up. It really helps the channel grow. With all of that out of the way, guys, once again, welcome to episode 29 of Coffee and Toys, guys. Wow, 29 episodes. We are one away from 30. I mean, like I always say, you know, when I first started this podcast, it was a completely different one. I had no real idea of where I wanted to go with it, and kind of like 6 or 7 episodes in, I was like, you know what, I just need to start fresh. I came up with the title, I came up with a new name, and here we are, 30 episodes deep, guys. Almost 30 episodes deep. We're one away from 30. I can't believe it, you know. And I have to be honest with you guys, sometimes these things are a bitch and a half to deal with in the post. Just last week I had to re-edit the podcast twice, or I had to re-edit it after I had already edited it once, and that's why it wasn't up on time, because something went wrong in my editing software. So I ended up having to actually delete my software off my phone, reinstall it, and start from scratch. And so yeah, that's why I was up late, and I apologize for that. But since I've reinstalled my application, everything's been running smoothly, so I don't think there should be any issues this week. Knock on wood. I don't have any wood around me, so just please hope for me that this shows up on your feed Sunday morning, and if it does, all right. But anyways, yeah, but I cannot believe we are at 30 episodes almost, guys. That's pretty amazing to me. I mean, it's just 30 episodes. It's not like a big milestone. It's not like 50 or 100, but I mean, we're only 20 away from 50. I mean, we're definitely going to hit that milestone by the end of this year. So that's exciting to know and think of. So definitely going to have to plan something for that. Maybe a giveaway, guys. Who knows? We'll have to see. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Like, each and every single one of you, thank you. It's because of you guys that I do this, and that I go and re-edit these podcasts, even though I'm frustrated and angry with it, because I know that you guys watch it, and I know you guys enjoy it. So thank you so much to each and every single one of you that watch these episodes. I really do appreciate it. So much hard work goes into making this podcast. Essentially, my whole Saturday and most of my Friday, depending on what I'm doing, is working on this podcast, just getting it right, getting it ready to be put out. And the longer the podcast, the longer it takes me. So whenever you see the time of the podcast, just times that by like 2 or 3, and essentially that's how long it took me to work on it and edit it and get it perfect and right for it to be up on YouTube for you guys to see. So although some of them are kind of long because of the Coffee and Toys Live interviews recently, but like I think episode 26 at this point, I still haven't uploaded. I'm still working on it. It is the one with my review of the Batman. Unfortunately, that one just got really messed up, and I've had to literally piece a almost 2-hour video into separate parts, edit them separately, and then bring them all together. And I'm finally working on the final part, so I hope to have it up by this coming week. So hopefully by Saturday it will be up, not this past Saturday, but the following Saturday that's coming after this Sunday. So hopefully I should be done with it, and hopefully the exports and finally can go up, because like I said, a lot of work goes into not only editing, but also putting together my studio here, because I have to bring in my table, I have to set everything up, bring in the lights, the audio equipment, and everything. So a lot of work goes into it. So I really want it to go up, and even if 5 people watch it, if 1 person watches it, I'd be happy, because at least that 1 person appreciated my time and work in my video. So when it goes up, guys, please just give it a watch for a few minutes if you can. I know it's gonna be old news and old stuff. In fact, while I was editing, I was like, wow, all these things that were leaks are now actually like in the hands of collectors. I was talking about the leaked Bebop or Super Bebop and Rocksteady. My friend Robert already has it in hand. So a lot of that news is old news, but like I said, my review of the Batman is in it. My interview with Ghost X Ghost is on there as well. Definitely want to check that out. They're going to be coming out with a lot of great new apparel from, I was going to say King Kong, but no, it's Godzilla and also Mezco Rumble Society. So stay tuned for that and watch that interview if you haven't already on my Instagram. But yeah, guys, thank you so much once again for watching these episodes. It's because of you that I put in the time, the effort, and I work hard. And I think I might have forgot to turn on my main thing that is now going to be here, opposed to that Batman statue. Because as much as I love that Batman statue, how can you beat this? Like, how can you beat that? I hope. I'm trying to see the reflection. Yes, it's. How can you beat that? It's literally the bat signal in the sky. Like, oh man, that, like I said, Grail acquired simply because of that. I mean, I love the Jim Gordon figure. It's an amazing figure. I love it, and I cannot wait to shoot with it. I've actually written down a few ideas on my sticky pad and notepad, what I'm going to be doing with this exact diorama setup right here with the light, and also Jim Gordon and Batman, and I have Two-Face, and then I don't have the black mask, but I do have the Agent Gomez that comes with the black mask head sculpt, so I can finesse that, and then I can have Joker, and just I have a bunch of ideas that I wanted to use this specific diorama for, and I'm super excited to. I just need to get the time to do it, and this week was just super crazy and busy because while I had a few things planned and ready to go up for you guys, other things came in the way and kind of showed up out of nowhere, and I was like, oh well, this should go up first, and we'll definitely talk about that during this week's toy haul. We'll get into all that, but yeah, guys, so thank you so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate that. And so with that being said, guys, let's go ahead and talk about this week's Coffee and Toys Live. Which Target? Okay, check the Batman section, see if they have like a giant Joker figure. Literally Google Titan Joker Mega Fig, and it should be that one. It should be a giant one. Yeah. Okay. So with that being said, guys, let's go ahead and talk about this week's Coffee and Toys Live. Like I said, it was a rescheduled Coffee and Toys Live that was supposed to happen, I believe, back in February. Yes, it was supposed to be back in February, the week before I actually went to Hawaii. And unfortunately, I neglected to communicate the fact that Instagram only allows you to go live on a mobile device and not a PC. And my guest did not know that, and a lot of people actually didn't know that, and I'm realizing now that I'm having to make that clear on when I'm asking people to come on, that it's going to be on Instagram. You have to be on a mobile and stuff. So that's good to know. It's good for me to know that I need to provide that information to my guest. But yeah, so thankfully he was gracious enough to reschedule with me on my next available date, and we got to speak finally. And like I said, it is Scott Knightlick, toy guru of Spectre Creative. If you don't know who he is, he runs the Spectre Creative YouTube channel here, and he has 25 plus years of experience working behind the scenes in the toy industry. So he is not only a collector, but also an experienced toy employee, business person, and worker. He's ran brands, he's done legal work for them, he's done so much. Stay tuned for that interview. Although I can't believe I really have to do this shit, but we do get into a little bit of the controversy between McFarlane Toys and what he said on Shartimus Prime's interview. So please be aware of that. I asked him, and he had no idea about what he said. I gave him the gist of what he said. I left out a few of the things that he said. Not that I didn't want to tell him, but I didn't think were important to what was needed. You know what I mean? So I gave him all the facts and what he was trying to get across. Obviously Todd said a lot of things that could have been said better, and a lot of things that shouldn't have been said. However, the fact of the matter that he was trying to get across was that female figures don't sell well in the boys action figure section. Take away all that stuff he said about the serial killer stuff. Like I said, stuff he shouldn't have said, stuff he could have said better, blah blah blah. But the main stuff that he's talking about, a lot of collectors are getting mad about, and Scott and I have a great conversation about it. Like I said, he has 25 plus years of experience. He's seen everything go from, $7.99 to $24.99, like he was saying, and he knows what he's saying. He actually has 2 videos up on YouTube already explaining why female figures don't sell well in the boys action figure section, and it's all based on facts and economics and business stats. So it's not fabricated, it's not emotional, he's not saying stuff like Todd. He literally sticks to the facts. So if you want the actual factual look of it, definitely check out Spectre Creative's 2 videos on why female figures don't sell well in the boys action figure section. Now, like I said, Todd said a lot of things that he shouldn't have said. Todd said a lot of things he could have said better. But the gist of it is, they just don't sell well. I mean, I have a few here and there, but other than that, I have 40 different Batmans to 1 Wonder Woman. Like Scott said, we're emotionally attached to these characters as adult collectors, and we don't see what kids see, because essentially those toy aisles aren't there for us. As much as we love these figures and they're somewhat directed at us, those toy aisles aren't for us. We're not going to make up the majority of the purchases to warrant them being in those aisles. They cost money to be in those aisles, and if only adult collectors are the ones buying, they're not even going to make enough to stay in those aisles. So they're really aimed at kids. And when you look at it, kids' brains are so primitive because they're still growing, they're still learning, they haven't been exposed to the world. So they go to those primitive actions in which they want to play. And like I said to him, and he agreed, us trying to understand how a kid wants to play is the same as a kid trying to understand income tax, taxes, mortgages, and all that at that age. We've advanced so far that we just can't see what they see just as much as they can't see what we see, because they don't have the knowledge and the experience like we do. So I can't believe I have to give that warning, but yeah, just be aware we do get into that, and it's all based on facts. Like I said, I don't give him the whole serial killer stuff. I just gave him the facts, and then I told him he can check out the interview on his own. But yeah, we definitely have a great conversation about that, and all about the toy industry and whatnot, also about himself, his own business, Spectre Creative, which now is a consulting company in which he consults with other toy companies to make their toys more toyetic and more appealing to children and stuff like that. So all of that is in this week's Coffee and Toys Live, so definitely stay tuned for that. So with that being said, guys, why don't we get into this week's toy haul? As you can see, it has definitely been a good week, guys, but there's a few caveats. Obviously, these guys were here last week on the table, but I told you once I pull them out of the package, they would make a return and be here so that we could get a closer look here on the table. Obviously, we had Griff the last time. I believe it was last week as well. But this week, we will actually be unboxing him. So, yeah. And then we have Fugitoid right here, which is actually not mine, which is why he's in package. Shout out to my friend Robert for allowing me to open him up, take some review pics, and do a review for you guys. And then I packaged him up, and hopefully the day this is going up, I should be able to drop it off for him. He should have already had it in hand. I got super busy this week, and so I could not get around to dropping it off or having him stop by. We were always just missing each other. So Sunday I should be able to drop this off to him, because I don't think I have anything planned other than work on more videos for YouTube, guys. I didn't only find him the Fugitoid, I also found myself the colorized Wolfman right here. And a pre-order showed up in the form of the mixed match Stab of Hades. Death Slayer. It is totally not Deathstroke, guys. This is not Deathstroke. This is some other character that just happens to look like Deathstroke, but it's not Deathstroke. So get that out of your head, because it's not Deathstroke. I'm totally kidding, guys. It's a third-party company, so of course it's Deathstroke. But last but not least, we have the Iron Spider head from Infinity War. Unfortunately, this is going back. I already have a replacement on the way because I purchased this from Amazon. It said that the box was damaged, and that's why it was considered used. It didn't say that it had been used. Usually when I buy products, I say damaged box, and in original packaging, it means the box was just damaged in transit and they just don't want to sell it to somebody without letting them know about it. But in this case, somebody legitimately put it on, wore it, and they also scratched it. So yeah, let me see if I can find where it's, oh, right there. It's pretty prominent. Let me see if I can hold it up to the camera. Hopefully it doesn't glare out and, like, the ring light shines over and you guys are like, oh, you're just bullshitting. But yeah, there's some pretty gnarly scratches on there. So yeah, I've already requested a return and a replacement, so that is on its way. Unfortunately, it will be arriving on Saturday, so I won't be able to have it here for you guys. But maybe I'll do it for the intro next week that I actually put it on and turn on the lights and everything for you guys. But yeah, I'm not putting on that helmet. Someone else put it on, so it's on the table just to show you guys what's coming up. But yeah, I'm not putting that helmet on. But why don't we go ahead and start off with the returning turtles right here. I know we kind of ran through everything first, but I didn't pick anything up. I didn't show you guys anything. So why don't we go ahead and start with the Super 7 turtles, because these guys definitely look amazing. I kind of pre-ordered these guys on a whim. Like I said last week, I wasn't really into this line until they offered this 4-pack, and I was like, okay, all 4 turtles at once, I'm down. And I'm so happy I did. Although for $55 a piece, there are a few things that I am not happy with, and I will go into more detail in my review, which these are somewhat old figures. They're just reissues and stuff, so I'm looking to do these not this coming week, but the following week. It'll be a full week of turtles. Probably go ahead and start off with my boy Mikey, then we'll go to Leo, Raph, and then we'll end with Donnie. So talking about that, why don't I go ahead and lift up my boy Mikey right here, because his big brother, the Funko Pop that's giant and supposed to be here, isn't here, and I don't know if it's going to make a return, because that, I think, is enough, but we'll find out. We'll see. I may actually even add a figure there, like every week, a different figure. I'm not sure yet. Maybe set up a scenario or a scene. I don't know. I'm making more work for myself, and I'm starting to think about it, but we'll see when we get there. Here we have Raphael. Now, all of these turtles come with 2 heads, the original Playmate style head, as well as an exclusively sculpted Super 7 head. And some of them look better with the original head. Some of them look better with the Super 7 head, I have to admit. I think Leo looks better with the Super 7 head than the original Playmates one. But let's go ahead and put Leo down and pull Donnie up last. I went ahead and gave him the alternate weapon since he only has a bow staff. I thought that was pretty cool, since they do come with these awesome alternate weapons that they don't really use, in the TV show or the comics. But the old Playmate toys used to come with them, so they reintroduced them with this, since the Super 7 line is supposed to be updated versions of those original Playmate toys, so yeah, super cool. Honestly, I was thinking of even selling them when I got them, and once I got them in hand, I was just like, I can't sell these things. These things are just honestly amazing. But like I said, there are a few things that for $55 we are gonna definitely discuss in their reviews, so definitely come back for those when they come out. So with that being said, why don't we go ahead and move on into the Wolfman right here. So last week I found the black and white Wolfman with the Turtle 4-pack at Target. Unfortunately, I am not into the black and white line, because one version is enough for me, and I already have the colorized Frankenstein, and then I have the Nightmare Demons, and then I have the Frankenwrath, and they're all colored. So I'm sticking with the colorized versions of these Universal monsters. And yeah, I honestly passed him up because I thought he was the black and white version still. And I came back and I just wanted to look at him real quick, and I opened him up and I was like, oh shit, it's the colorized version. It's not even the black and white. So I instantly picked that up. I picked up my friend Robert his Fugitoid, and that was Haulathon week 2 for me, at least. I hope you guys all got everything that you wanted for Haulathon week 2. Let me know down in the comments below if you did. So last but not least, why don't we go ahead and talk about the Stab of Hades Death Slayer figure. So, like I said, this is a third-party figure. So it is not Deathstroke, it is Death Slayer. So yeah, but obviously, as you can see, it is definitely Deathstroke. He does come with a head that looks exactly like Deathstroke. However, I think this one just looks fucking badass, and I honestly really like it on him. And so I might just display him with this one, even though I bought him specifically for a Deathstroke. But I can always switch the heads when I want to do my toy photography as Deathstroke, and then make the switch back to this one when I want to put them on display. Obviously, that's always an option. So I do have the Wolfman's box right here. No, I don't have 2. I just really love this packaging and the way it looks, and how they use that old school classic Wolfman poster and whatnot, and it's just amazing. I love this. This box is amazing. NECA always does an amazing job with their boxes, but this one, This one's phenomenal. So, with that being said, guys, why don't we go ahead and talk about Haulathon just a little bit, not too much. So, it's been going, right? I mean, some people have been happy, some people have been really upset. I think it's the people that have been able to find stuff in their stores that are happy versus the ones that have been trying to order online. So definitely start checking those targets, guys, because they're getting shit in constantly. So hopefully your target will be getting stuff in very, very soon. So yeah, but Haulathon is not the only con that was going on recently. Walmart had their collector con. Oh, great. So that ended, I believe, Thursday. It was a weird, like, Wednesday, Thursday collector con. Yeah, I don't know why, but yeah. So they may still have a few of their collector con items up. We'll definitely talk about a few of them here during the toy news that were revealed. So with that being said, why don't we go ahead and get into this week's toy news. But first, thank you so much to this channel sponsor, VRare Store. Check them out for all your Funko Pop, anime, and Pokemon card needs. And of course, use code CoolFigurez at checkout for 10% off your order. $5 flat rate shipping on all Funko Pop orders. With that being said, let's go ahead and start off with some Power Ranger news. So, not too much news, but Hasbro Pulse did announce a exclusive 2-pack Mighty Morphin Red Trini Ranger and Yellow Jason Rangers. So yeah, remember that one time they swapped colors in the comic books, not even the TV show?
Remember when you hit that pedestrian with your car at the crosswalk and then just drove away? Pepperidge Farm remembers.
Hasbro Pulse remembers. So yeah, I mean, that's up for pre-order if you want. I don't even know what to say about that. I feel like, I mean, I guess if you're a really big Power Ranger fan, but I mean, I guess. I don't know. We're moving on, guys. Next up, let's go ahead and talk about NECA. So, talking about Haulathon, we'll definitely be discussing Haulathon throughout the toy news as well. And Bronx is hitting targets now, a part of Haulathon. So definitely be on the lookout for that if you're looking for Bronx and you want him just for Bronx, or also the wings that fold over Goliath so he doesn't take up so much shelf space. So yeah. Also, Brooklyn's pre-orders from Gargoyles is also opened up now at all major retailers, so go ahead and pre-order him if you're interested in him. Next up, the TMNT Turtle Tuesday Ultimate release went up this past Tuesday on the NECA site. You have the 4-pack of the Secret of the Ooze Turtles, you have the Secret of the Ooze accessory pack, and the reissue of Toca and Raza. So why don't we go ahead and run through each of those so we get a little more information on them. And as you can see, this was the shirt I was talking about last week. I found it on the internet. I found it on Amazon, in fact. I had it back when I was in middle school. I think the green was a little darker, and the turtle logo wasn't outlined in those broken lines and stuff, but I still love this image, and this is how I really pictured the turtles, and that's why I really wanted those turtles stylized guide 4-pack from Haulathon, and I was so happy when I found them because mission accomplished. So anyways, guys, the Secret of the Ooze 4-pack turtle will come in an exclusive VHS style packaging with all 4 turtles, as well as a bunch of accessories, I believe for $150. The accessory pack is going for $60. You're going to get all sorts of great accessories from Secret of the Ooze. So go ahead and pick that up, because the one from the 1990s movie is now going for $200 on the third-party market. So even if you change your mind by the time it gets here, you can make a profit at least. So next up, let's go ahead and talk about the Toca and Raza reissue. So yes, they are up for reissue. They are $10 more than what they were originally when they were released, 2 years ago? So yeah, be aware of that. But yeah, that is it for NECA essentially. So those are open pre-orders for 2 weeks. So you have, I believe, until April 4th to put your pre-order in. So I will be putting mine in probably next weekend. I just, like Mad Hatter said, it's a mental thing. You just gotta space it out sometimes in your mind, and it just makes more sense, and it hurts a little less too. So with that being said, guys, why don't we go ahead and move on to the next bit of news. But first, thank you so much to Legend Footwear for also sponsoring this video. Check them out online at legendfootwear.com. walmart.com and use code JesseM_LGND for 10% off your order. And also, thank you so much to Old School Labs for helping sponsor this video as well. Check them out over on Amazon, and for 12% off your order, use code JesseM12. So with that being said, guys, let's go ahead and talk some Super 7 news, guys, because like they said in their caption and announcement, like a fresh cup of joe, wave 3 of their new G.I. Joe line is here. Introducing Scarlet, Doc, Storm Shadow, and the one that's going to break your bank, the Cobra Trooper. And obviously Death Slayer didn't like that too much, so he fell over. So let me go ahead and try to stand him up. But yes, guys, Super 7 has announced their wave 3 of their G.I. Joe. Has wave 1 even gone into the hands of the collectors yet? I don't even think that wave 1 has gone into the hands of collectors yet, and they are already soliciting your money and orders for wave 3, which is, I don't know, I don't know how I feel about that. That's one of the reasons why I was so hesitant and getting into the Super 7 Turtle line, because they were so far out in terms of giving us all 4 turtles. They were constantly unveiling waves, yet I was not seeing them reach the hands of collectors. And when I was finally seeing them reach the hands of collectors, they looked amazing, don't get me wrong. But then it's like, well, where's the next one? And then it was a while till the next one came. And then finally, I guess they started coming out because they're all here now. But that was one of the reasons why I'm kind of like iffy on Super 7, only because they announce a lot of stuff and solicit a lot of stuff before getting a lot of stuff in hand. Now, don't get me wrong, a lot of other companies do that. But when you have a new wave, I feel like you should allow that wave to get into the hands of the collectors first, before you start asking for more money from them, because the nostalgia is going to get us to buy those figures. Now, I personally am not going to get those G.I. Joe figures, but if you buy those figures thinking they're going to be great off those renders, and then you get them in hand, and that first wave is just utterly disappointing, and you already pre-ordered 4 or 5 waves, you're going to be pissed. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying that it's going to happen to everybody, or, but everybody's different. And so I feel like them soliciting so far out is a bit of an issue. However, that's just how they run things. So, yeah, that's just my take on it. But if you're a G.I. Joe fan, if you're a fan of the G.I. Joe Super 7 series, Wave 3 is up now for pre-order. Thank you so much to Man Sports Supplements for sponsoring this video as well. Check them out online at Man Sports Supplements and use code THEBAT for 10% off your order. Also, check out Ray's Energy Drinks at raysenergy.com, and of course use code THEBAT for 10% off your order. So with that being said, let's go ahead and talk about a company we don't usually talk about, but we may be talking about a little bit more because they may be coming onto the live show soon. I'm still in the works of getting stuff worked out, but Loyal Subjects. So they did announce and solicit pre-orders, or I guess they didn't announce, they had it announced previously, but they did solicit pre-orders during Walmart's Collector Con, pre-orders for their Shredder, their Casey, their Foot Soldier, and 2 Walmart exclusive, Collector Con exclusive, Leonardo and Michelangelo. So both Leonardo and Michelangelo come in the classic red bandanas, and they also come with comic books. These comic books were released on their own previously, but now I guess they're bundling them up together for this Collector Con bundle set. And I do actually own these comics, and they are actually a compilation of the best stories of said turtle. So each book is like Michelangelo, Leonardo, Raphael, Donatello, and even Splinter has his own book. And inside is literally their best stories and everything like that. So that comes with the figure as well. So that's pretty cool to say the least. But yeah, that's part of Walmart's Collector Con. So if you are interested in that, go ahead and check out Walmart.com and the Walmart app. So with that being said, guys, let's go ahead and move on into McFarlane news, because not too much McFarlane news other than what we spoke about earlier. I think that's why they were kind of backpedaling on things, kind of holding stuff off, because they had to do a little damage control, unfortunately. Well, I mean, not unfortunately. Like I said, he stuck his foot in his mouth a few times by saying a few things, but the gist of what he was trying to get across is factually true. But I'm done with that. We're going to go ahead and talk about the 2 things that weren't released or announced but are showing up in stores now, and that is the Retro 66 Batman, Penguin, and Catwoman. So those are now hitting Target stores, so be on the lookout for those if you are in that line and you want them. So yeah, only a bit left, and then we're pretty much done with this week's toy news, guys. Not too much this week, surprisingly, but yeah, with that being said, thank you so much to Physique Apparel for also sponsoring this video. Check them out at physiqueapparel.com and use code THEBAT for 15% off your order. So with that being said, guys, let's go ahead and talk about Jazzwares. So they did announce, or maybe they teased is a better word, their new Spartan collection line, and man, is it a wave, or I'm sorry, they call it a series, and it has 9 figures. It has 9 figures in it. Usually these things have like 4 or 5. This one has a total of 9 figures in the wave, which is pretty interesting. The thing that really caught my eye, because I'm really going to be holding back and rolling back on that line and that collection. In fact, I may be actually looking to sell some of mine. But the thing that did catch my eye is they're finally giving us a Covenant Elite in the 6-inch form. So I am definitely going to be swooping up a few of those for my shots and toy photography with my Master Chiefs and my other Spartans. So super excited about that figure in particular. Let me know down in the comments below. Are you a collector of the Spartan collection, or have you passed on this collection? So with that being said, why don't we go ahead and move on to the final bit of news, and that is the Underground Arsenal 1/12 scale Ninja Turtle van. So, or party wagon, whatever you want to call it. This is a third-party company, guys, so be aware of that. It is over at 5K Toys for $239 opposed to the Super 7s. What was it, almost $700, I believe. Maybe it was closer to 5, but yeah. But NECA is also teasing that they are going to be releasing their own van very, very soon. I believe they're going to tease it at the end of Holothon. That's just my kind of thought, and but I could be wrong. So, but if you want a third-party one for $239, which actually looks pretty good, head over to 5K Toys, and that way you guys can pick it up. But yeah, that is it when it comes to this week's toys. So yeah, guys, not too much news, but just enough to be a decent show for this week. So yeah, guys, we spoke about this week's Coffee and Toys Live. We spoke about this week's toy haul. We spoke about this week's toy news. It's time to get into this week's unboxing. So we have the brand new NECA Toys Target exclusive, Holothon exclusive, Back to the Future Part 2 Griff Tannen. Now let me go ahead and open the box right here so we can take a look at it. Now he was on the table last week, obviously, but like I said, I do buy one for every head sculpt that comes in this line. So this guy came with 2 head sculpts, so I got 2. So here we are going to open him up, and we're also going to pose him and display him up so that way he's ready to go on my shelf, since I've already done my photos and reviews. Essentially, that's all that's next, is for him just to be plopped out on my shelf. I am going to do a deep cleaning of my room and collection very soon once I get ahead, most likely in the next 2 weeks. And when I do, I'm going to redo my Back to the Future shelf, and this guy is going to be chasing Marty on the hoverboard, and then he's also going to be doing something else since I have to. So pulling him out, let's go ahead and also pull out the backdrop that comes with them, because NECA always does a really good job with them. However, this time it is just a repack of the one that comes with the Marty, and that is of the Back to the Future Part 2 Courthouse. So it's always good to have multiples of those. But here we do have a tray shot of Griff Tannen. I just realized now that we didn't even go over the future episodes of Coffee and Toys Live, because I do have a few guests planned out that we need to talk about. So once we're done with this, we'll go over that, and then we'll go ahead and jump into this week's Coffee and Toys Live. But with that being said, let's go ahead and liberate him from his packaging. And man, this guy has a bunch of these little twist ties all over the place. So let me go ahead and hopefully I don't slice myself on camera, because that would be really, really bad. Why don't I go this way away from me then? That's my, oh, easy. So why don't I go ahead and move my coffee so it's not in my way, guys? Common sense, right? Common sense. So let's go ahead and liberate his feet next, and hopefully once again I don't slice my hand. Close on that one, but not close enough, thankfully. Let's go ahead and flip him around, get a nice good tug, and All right, he should be free right there. So I'm going to try to edit this part out so you guys don't hear all the crunchy noise. Alright guys, so here he is all out of the package, and honestly guys, NECA has honestly been doing a really good job lately of just being a really good toy company, because look, out of the box, no heating up, he can move, he can bend, he can do all sorts of stuff. Like, same thing with this Wolfman. I didn't have to heat him up. I was able to change out the hands and the feet and the head, and I was like, wow, I didn't have to heat that up. I was really thinking that I was going to have to severely heat him up before I even think about swapping out the hands and the feet, but thankfully it wasn't the case. So yeah, out of the box, an amazing figure. Like I said, he does come with 2 head sculpts, and he is already displayed with this one, so I will be displaying him with this one. I just need to figure out how. I'm also going to be probably like this. Let's see. Probably going to put the bat in his hand. Oh, you know what? What if, can he? There we go. Look at that. Batter up. Okay, yeah, that's it. That's how we're going to display him. He thinks he's slick. He thinks he's slick. Look at that. That's how we're going to display him. He thinks he's slick, and he thinks he can get the drop. But little does Biff know, his submarine screen door's open. If you don't get that reference, we can't be friends. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, I'm probably going to display him. But what to do with this pit bull, because I really wish he came with open hands. He doesn't come with any alternate hands. I'm really trying to figure out what I can, I guess, just put it at his side, and I guess just that, right? Just make him look all menacing like that. So yeah, that was this week's unboxing, guys. So like I said, let's go ahead and quickly talk about upcoming Coffee and Toys Live guests. So this coming week, we will be speaking to Rocco the Great, toy hunter extraordinaire. So I am super excited to talk to him. I've been watching him since I got back into toy collecting and into toy collecting when YouTube and all that stuff was around. So super excited to talk to him. Also, up next after him, I should be speaking with Can't Kill Chewy. If you don't know who Can't Kill Chewy is, he is a person that gives us a lot of toy news, honestly spanning from all kinds of toy news. He's always posting stuff on his Instagram and stuff. I have my post notifications on for him because he's always posting stuff like that. That's time relevant and sensitive sometimes. So sometimes he'll post like stuff that's like, oh, back up for pre-order, back up for order on Amazon and stuff like that. So if you have your notifications on for him, you can snag some stuff sometimes. So definitely gonna be fun to talk to him. He does some fun YouTube stuff. He hasn't put up a YouTube video in a while, but the stuff he does have up there, amazing work, hilarious. Definitely go check out his channel if you haven't already. The week after Can't Kill Chewy, I will be speaking to Big Nerdy himself from the Nerdzoic channel and Toy Store, and we will be talking all about his channel, his collection, his toy hunts, and his new toy store. So super excited to talk to him. He was another person that I started watching when I got back into toy collecting back in 2020. So super excited to see him and talk to him. It's crazy to think that all these people that I first started out just, watching them and looking them up and being like, oh, I wish I can do what they do. I wish I can do, cool stuff like that. I wish I had the confidence to go on the internet and, do YouTube and all this stuff. And now I'm getting to talk to these people and stuff, just like with Sir Dork. When I first got into toy photography, I looked it up on YouTube. I was like, how do you do toy photography? And the first few videos that popped up were his. And, now he's following me. We've spoken on the show. We had a great conversation. And so it's crazy to think how you can go from being these people's followers and looking up to them to being right there next to them and having great conversations with them. And that's the great thing about the toy industry is all these people, regardless of their numbers in Instagram and YouTube, they're just normal, great people that appreciate that you appreciate their work. Because a lot of work goes into this hobby that we love and do. But so thank you so much to all my previous guests on Coffee and Toys Live. I really do appreciate it. You don't know what it means to me because, like I said, when I first started this channel, I didn't know anybody would be interested in it. And then when I started this podcast and Coffee and Toys Live, I didn't know if I was going to get 1 or 2 guests on, and I've been blessed to have every single week filled out. And so continuing on with that, following up with Big Nerdy, the following week should most likely be loyal subjects on 420. Yes, blaze it up, guys. But yeah, we're in the talks of kind of negotiating. He said he may be out of town, so we're gonna see. If not, I'm gonna have to find another guest for that day. But there will be a guest that day. Unfortunately, the week after that, there will be no show once again because I will be back on the beautiful island of Maui celebrating my 25th birthday. I was like, quarter of a century, I need to do something fun, and Vegas just didn't sound fun enough, so I figured why not turn 25 on the beautiful island of Maui. And so yeah, I'm going back to Maui on the last week of April, so there will be no Coffee and Toys live. I will still have plenty of content up and uploaded ready for you guys for that week, so don't worry about that. There will just be no Coffee and Toys live. Yeah, guys, super excited about all of that and all those great conversations that are coming up. Always on Wednesday. Time varies depending on my guests. Usually in the evening, and usually it's like 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. But like I said, it varies. Like this last week, I had to do it at 10 a.m. my time because Scott is a very busy person with a family running his own company, and he took at least an hour out of his busy day at 1:30 Eastern Time to speak with me. So I made the sacrifice to speak to him at 10 a.m. And I say the sacrifice not because I had to get up early and blah, 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 but because I actually train most of my clients as a personal trainer in the morning, and I had to rework it and say I had a dentist appointment and stuff, and so that way I can get them to reschedule and work around my schedule just that one day. So yeah, guys, but anyways, it was a great conversation and very informative, so stay tuned for that. We're going to be talking about that next. But before that, thank you so much to each and every single one of you that have hit that subscribe button, that have followed me over on Instagram at CoolFigurez, and also at Epic Shots by CoolFigurez, my more dedicated toy photography page. CoolFigurez, I post all my review pics. Epic Shots by CoolFigurez, I post my more thought out, planned out, more set up, more edited pics. And yeah, guys, also if you guys like unboxings of toys and you're on TikTok, follow me over on TikTok. That's where I post all my unboxings. And also, thank you so much for checking me out every Wednesday on Coffee and Toys Live. It means a lot to me, even if it's just one or two of you in that audience. Most of the time it's at least 10, so thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. And thank you once again to all my previous guests. I never know how to end this, guys, so I'm just going to shut the fuck up so we can get into this week's Coffee and Toys Live. So thank you so much, and please enjoy this week's Coffee and Toys Live. Welcome, everybody, back to the CoolFigurez page. I'm your host, Jesse the Bat Madrigal, a.k.a. The Buff Collector, and welcome to episode 10 of Coffee and Toys Live here on the CoolFigurez page. And this week, I'd like to welcome the Scott Knightlick of Toy Guru, or I'm sorry, not of Toy Guru, but of Spectre Creative. You're the Toy Guru.
Yep, thanks. Sorry, my phone is like a proper height here, so I'm not like this giant face. Hi, yeah, no, thank you so much. It's great. Nothing I love more than chatting toys. So.
No, I know you do, man. I know you do, especially based off your channel, man. I've been watching your channel for the past few years, especially since it just started and stuff. And like, what was it, like 2020, right?
Yeah, whenever we started with that whole COVID mess, it started just as a thing. I thought, oh, well, you know, we're at home for 3 months, so I'll start a YouTube channel. Yeah, lo and behold.
Right, it took off, and here you are now. And how are you doing with that now?
The YouTube channel?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I mean, it's honestly like, I mean, it's absolutely gone like way above. And I mean, I never even thought I'd have like, 5,000 followers or something, and we're nearing in on 30.
Wow.
I mean, again, like I started it because I was just looking for something fun and toy related to do for what I thought would be a very limited amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what I realized was there's a lot of toy channels out there on YouTube, or just in general.
Mm-hmm.
And sorry, hold on, I'm gonna try to like raise my chair. There we go. Your floating head. And a lot of the channels they're basically either reviewers or people commenting about the toy industry. And as a fellow toy collector, I've noticed that a lot of those type of channels that are discussing the industry tend to, I just not have access to information, for lack of a better word. I thought, hey, I could provide that because it's not like it's top secret. I mean, anyone who makes a consumer product, I just lived through it. So that, was the Spectre Creative YouTube channel was just all about getting out factual information about how toys are made and sharing it with passionate collectors. So if that's for you, check out the channel.
No, yeah, definitely. And you have 25 plus years of experience working behind the scenes in the toy industry, correct?
Yeah, that's actually kind of like the also sort of unique thing is like, yeah, that I'm a fan. I'm a huge toy fan, but I've also worked on the product, and most of the people who work on toy product are not big toy fans.
Hmm.
From that was one of my like big eye opening moments. Um, so yeah, that's also sort of like I think what makes the content unique on the channel is I'm coming from that very interesting perspective.
No, yeah, definitely interesting because, like I said, when you first started your channel, I first discovered it and I was really interested. I had just got back into collecting because of the pandemic, like everybody else, get something to do at home. You can collect toys, take pictures. And then your channel started popping up on my YouTube feed. And I was like, I'm interested in this. When I get into something, I kind of like to dig into all aspects of that area or industry. And your channel was like really giving us that unique perspective from being a toy industry expert, you know what I mean? Because you work behind the scenes, you know how it goes. You've been a brand manager, you know how all that works, the sculpting and all that stuff I learned personally from your videos. I didn't know anything about the toy industry until I started watching your videos, and they were all very informative. So much to the point where I actually switched my focus and I'm now trying to get into the toy industry because you made it seem so appealing.
Well, that's awesome because I can tell you the toy industry needs more uh, more people that are fans.
Hmm.
Um, that's kind of the best thing that's going to help. Um, like get more awesome collector product is when there's people working in the toy industry that are also fans. You see that like with Super Seven and um, you know, NECA and
Hmm.
Hasbro Pulse, like the HasLab stuff.
Hmm.
To tell this stuff is made by people who are passionate about it, and the more people, you know, me, you, like all the people probably watching here, um, it's only going to help the toy industry.
Hmm.
So yes, like yeah, do it. And wait, give me 2 seconds because I just got an odd alert on my calendar. I know I blocked it off, and now it's telling
You're
me.
good, man.
Sorry for the distraction.
No, you're good, man. No worries.
Like 19 people that are like sending me invites. Oh,
So how's your week been?
so far, I mean, it's been, um, God, we're on Wednesday, productive. Okay, I know we're in the middle of a live thing, but hold on, let me just email back and let this person know that I'm not available to meet with them in 15 minutes.
No worries, man. I totally get it. Business is business, especially when
Yep.
you run your own business, which
Yeah,
we'll
and
definitely
I'm
get
sorry.
into in a bit.
I'm like looking for, okay, where do I email? Because otherwise they're going to be expecting me to jump on and like in the middle of this. I can't figure it out. Okay, never mind. We'll just keep.
Okay. All right. So what exactly got you into collecting, man?
Um, well, I guess it would probably be like the Power of the Force 2 Star Wars line that came out in the 90s, that and the Spawn figures, the first sort of waves of those from McFarlane, because it was so different from, I mean, the Spawn stuff's different in the fact that it had, more sculpting, more detail. I think like when I bought the very first Spawn like 5-inch figure, the one with the plastic cape that like bent, weird
Hmm.
articulation point, but it worked. That was the first time I bought a toy not as a child. Like I was like, I'm going
Mm.
to like, buy this and just put this on my like the idea of just buying something for my shelf. That
Hmm.
idea, I guess, before that it was always like, yeah, these are my playthings.
Hmm.
And then Power of the Force 2 hit, and I was like, oh, I'll buy one Chewbacca. And that what happens when we say we're just going to buy one. Um,
Yep.
and yeah, then it just snowballed, and then suddenly I realized that I had more toys than I had, dishes and silverware. So at some point, you got to at least figure out what you're going to do for a living. And I was fortunate enough to find the right place and be able to um, take that interest and find a company that was that was willing to give me a shot. And so I'm very grateful for all the opportunities I've had.
So would you say those first two lines that you just spoke about would be your favorite lines you've ever collected, or has another line come about that you really enjoy collecting now?
Um, there's definitely between then and now there was a lot more. I was a collect like there was sort of that was like the on ramp,
Hmm.
and then um, you know, like in the late '90s, early 2000s, was this really sweet spot for adult collectors when we had Simpsons figures at retail and Lord of the Rings, and that was like the 2000X He-Man line, and Star Wars was going strong again thanks to Power of the Force 2. And that was probably the time when I was collecting the most stuff, just because there was so much out there. Now it tends to be I still collect Star Wars 3 and 3/4, but I'm also a really big Marvel Legends fan, which I think comes from not getting the '90s Marvel figures.
Mm.
Like sort of those came out right when I was like ending being a kid, and I was like, oh, I can't buy toys. I'm not buying toys before I became a collector. So it was like this window when
Hmm.
but now like I'm making up for that by gorging myself on Marvel Legends.
I think all of us collectors can agree with that space and time where we were like, okay, it's time for us to grow up, and then something caught our eye a little later on in life, and we were just like, okay, maybe we'll, like you said, we'll just pick up one, and next thing you know, we have a full collection room.
Yep, and then it just keeps growing and growing. It's not like sports guys or just go to an event like we have stuff and we just accumulate it.
Yep, yep. And it comes to a point where it's just like, okay, do I store it or do I sell it to make more space? Like you really have to make these decisions at some point.
And none, yeah, it's actually been a tough like we moved recently across country, and there was big pruning that happened before we left, like stuff I knew I didn't. I mean, I definitely had stuff I knew I didn't need, but even this is actually the first time I've been in a place where I've had a room, like an office, to put all my stuff, and it's definitely made me realize like what I want, what I don't, and
Hmm.
you realize kind of like what is, but yeah, then they just keep coming out with more cool stuff.
Exactly. That's the other issue. It's like you have all this cool stuff and they keep pushing out more and more. It's like, okay. And then the pre-orders get delayed, so then you forget your cool stuff's coming in. So you're like, okay, I'm good. And then all of a sudden a pre-order comes in, you're like, oh, okay.
Oh, that totally happened like 2 weeks ago. Even my wife was like, "Why did like this charge for like to go through?" And I'm like, "Oh my god, I forgot about that. I pre-ordered that. Who knows when." Uh,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
yep.
So what exactly made you want to get into the toy industry, man? Like I said, I've been watching your videos for a while, and I know you were somewhat in the pharmaceutical industry, right? The healthcare kind of industry, doing typewriting for them.
Yeah. Um, so what I was doing in the pharmaceutical industry, I was in marketing. What my position was a copywriter. Which yeah, unless like you're kind of in marketing, that sounds like wait, so you like what copy things like.
Hmm.
Um, a copywriter basically that's just an all-encompassing term meaning a writer for a company. So when you're a writer for Mattel, you're coming up with like the names of characters and the bios.
Hmm.
When you're a writer in a pharmaceutical ad agency, you're coming up with uh, uh, like print ads and medical material explaining how drugs work. So you can imagine way less fun than toys. Why I got into toys, I mean, obviously, because I love them and all that, but the how was connected directly to the pharmaceutical marketing. Was that a skill set I had developed that I hadn't realized is something that the toy industry looks for? Is I was a writer, but being in the pharmaceutical, you have to be aware of all of the regulations and fine print and legal lines, and I mean, if you've ever seen a medical
Hmm.
ad in a magazine, back when we had magazines, there'd be like one page of an ad and then 2 pages of fine print would follow it, and that
Hmm.
so my ability in medical marketing to navigate that was very alluring for Mattel when they saw my resume because it's very similar in toy packaging where you have small parts warnings and licensor logos and copyrights and same kind of thing. You have to figure out all. It's not just creative writing, but it's creative writing with a sort of a legal eye, I guess.
Hmm.
And so that was basically how I was my in was that I had that very specific skill set, and if I only knew that that was a skill set Mattel was looking for, I would have like deliberately done that. It just turned out to be.
So you don't actually have any kind of like law background or anything. You just kind of developed it through your work with the pharmaceuticals.
Yeah, well, I mean, it wasn't. I mean, no, I don't have a law background, but it's not as much law, as much just being aware of um, how like trademark lines are written and how
Mm.
if there's a rule that says this mark has to be on a package or this warning has to be in a package, being aware of that rule. And yeah, I mean, that was something I learned in the pharmaceutical, and it would start with my boss giving me a list and saying, here's all the stuff that has to be, and you learn, like, then you start realizing, oh, wait, we forgot to, like, put this, warning on it. And, I did it for about 4 years. And that, yeah, translated very much into my first gig at Mattel, which was a writer in the Hot Wheels group. So I was not only coming up with names for cars, but, is it a licensed car from Ford? Is it a licensed car from a studio like the Batmobile? Are there small parts that could break off? So does it need a small parts warning? Which countries is it going to ship to? What languages does the package have to be in? Canada requires it to be in French. Like, there's all that kind of stuff.
Mm. Oh, okay. So that's really interesting, man. So at what point did you say, I love toys, I have this skill set, I want to ship to the toy industry? Or did you, kind of like you said, you didn't realize that they were looking for it? So how did you come across the opportunity to shift from where you were at into the toy industry?
Um, I mean, the actual opportunity came at San Diego Comic-Con when I was at the Mattel booth and I was chatting with a gentleman who was the marketing director for the Justice League Unlimited line. And through us talking, well, basically the shorter version is, I mean, even when I was at Mattel, I'd always have people coming up to me at the booth saying, "I want to work in the toy industry," and I was like, "Great, what do you want to do?" "I want to make toys." "Okay, well, what do you do? Like, do you want to work in legal? Do you want to work in design? Do you want to work in marketing?"
Hmm.
So what I actually had my professional advertising book with me. I was bringing it to a completely separate meeting, is why I had it. But since I happened to have it, he was like, "Oh," he was flipping. He's like, "Oh, let me see your book." And he's flipping through. He said, "Oh, like I think the Hot Wheels group is looking for an advertising writer that can do this kind of stuff. Have you ever you thought about coming to work for Mattel?" I'm like, "Thought about it." And yeah, so that was basically how it happened.
Wow, that's really great, man. What are the chances that you were taking that for another completely different meeting and you just so happened to talk to the right guy at the right time and you saw the right stuff, man?
I mean, it was absolutely, a combination of, luck, fate, but also I think the fact that I did have that professional experience.
Hmm.
I wasn't just a toy fan. I was a toy fan who'd worked in advertising for 4 years and had professional samples.
Hmm.
Whereas, and I'll say, just from experience, from now then running Mattel's Comic Con booth years later, yeah, people would come up all the time. Like, "I want to work in toys." "Great. Do you have a resume? Do you have a specific position you want to apply to or a skill set?" "I want to work in toys." So that's a big difference. And I encourage people who do want to work in toys to, yeah, put together your professional portfolio. Like, figure out how your skill set could translate to the toy industry because there's all sorts of, I mean, engineers and painters and accountants. I mean, it's like, there's so many jobs in toys.
No, yeah, and that's what your channel really brings to light is all those different aspects of the toy industry, because you highlight every single thing. Like I said, before your channel, I didn't realize about tooling. I didn't know how toys were made exactly and how sculpts cost so much. They're those giant steel things because they have to put the hot plastic in. And, like you said, there's brand managers, there's accountants, there's legalese, there's all types of people that work. And the biggest thing that you said too is that, they're not all toy collectors and toy fans. They're really just business people first and foremost.
Yeah, and I think, especially as adult collectors, we have such an emotional attachment to this stuff that for us to look at it as a cog is like, I would never do that. I spend my entire weekend driving around town to every Walmart. But yeah, I mean, outside of our sort of honestly very small circle, even though we're loud but not numerous, is the way
Hmm.
to look at it. Um, and the internet is what I mean, exactly what we're doing. I mean, not that we shouldn't be proud of how big the group is. It's just that the internet has a way of making it look a lot larger.
Hmm.
Uh, and I don't even remember what you asked, why we got on that tangent. Um,
I was just saying that wait, now I lost my tangent too.
That's okay. We'll chalk it up to
So let's go ahead and move on. So after being a copywriter, that's the correct title, right? Copywriter.
yeah.
Okay, so after doing that for a bit with the Hot Wheels team, how did it come about that you moved up to being other positions within the toy industry and, eventually becoming a brand manager?
So, I mean, it was all basically kind of tied to one event. That was that transition. There was a meeting where the general manager, Tim Kilpin, who some He-Man fans may know as both the brand manager back in the 80s of the Motion line and a writer of many of the mini comics. Um, and he worked his way all the way up from that to general manager of Mattel. And he was holding these sort of touch base meetings with the different groups, sort of like, okay, I'm at the top of the ivory tower, but like I want to know what's going on in the trenches, with the design group and the painting group and the legal group, and when it came to us, the packaging group. That's where I was. And so we went through a whole hour of people saying asking packaging related questions about glues on blisters or the ability to get different card stocks for whatever. And then at the very end, I raised my hand and said, why don't we make more action figures for the adult collector community and sell them online? And he's like, wait a minute, that is not what this meeting was about, but that's an interesting thought. Why don't you make a meeting with my, admin? Took 4 months, but I finally got a meeting on his calendar. And I walked in with a giant crate of stuff and sort of spelled out how big the industry was and that we weren't doing much. Like I was spending X amount of money, but none of it at my own company. It was all Hasbro or NECA or whatever, Playmates. Um, that basically resulted in them moving me from. He liked the idea and moved me from the copy group to the marketing group. And then one of the many projects I was on was starting up what became Matty Collector, which was at the time it was basically a figure of the month club. Mattel ran from about 2008 to 2015 ish. Yeah, and then that was basically how I went and got into marketing, and then I just sort of worked my way up through Mattel and then a few other companies that I got recruited, like sort of out, et cetera. And now I'm in North Carolina. We left California, and I do consulting for toy companies and entrepreneurs, inventors who have ideas for toys or even any consumer product. I've done shampoos and beauty care, quilts, but I do a lot of toy products. And my clients are both medium-sized toy companies as well as inventors and entrepreneurs that have an idea but need to understand how to get it to market or the next steps, help developing content, branding, marketing, selling it into Target, Walmart, that kind of thing. So that's sort of my whole story.
Nice, nice. So you kind of did skip over a bit where you glossed over where you got kind of baited out of Mattel. So you did go to one or two other places before you decided to start your own company, right?
Yeah, I mean, the start of the own company was more linked to leaving California, which was unrelated to the toy industry. It was just the state of California and having a daughter, wanting her to have a yard. Like it had
Oh
nothing to do
yeah.
with me being unhappy with toys. Um, but yeah, I was at Mattel for about 10 years, and then my previous director, or my boss, who had left about 2 years prior, he was at Jack Specific, and he called me up and said, "Hey, I've got an opening on my team. I think you'd be good for. You've probably hit a wall with Mattel. I could offer you this, this, and this, and this type of title and promotion, and the chance to work on these brands." And it was an exciting opportunity, and that basically happened 2 or 3 times, like every kind of like 2 or 3 years. I'd be with a company, and then somebody from the industry would call me up and say, "Hey, we have an opening here. We'd love to have you come take a look at it." And so I spent some time at Jada. I was at Entertainment Earth for a little while, and then then California just got a little bit too difficult, and we said, "All right, we're going to find someplace else." And we found this beautiful town in North Carolina called Greensboro, and that's where I am running SpectreCreative.com.
Nice, nice. So that's great that you've been able to basically use all of that to basically now just live your life and have your own business in terms of consulting all these other toy brands and everything. So have you consulted with previous brands that you've worked with now?
Um, I've worked on some licenses that I've worked on previously, if you will. Like, I mean, I spent a lot of time on Marvel and DC products of different companies. But
Hmm.
I haven't like Mattel has not contacted me about working on He-Man, if that's what you're asking, or something like that.
Okay, okay. So with your knowledge on the toy industry, what is your current take on the current state of the toy industry with delays, price hikes, QC issues, everything?
Um, well, delays are basically, really just related to getting through this whole global pandemic thing, and that's going to even itself out. Um, as far as prices, a lot of that is based on the rising cost of labor in China, which is just skyrocketing. I'm honestly surprised toy companies held out as long as they did. I've been keeping an eye on Marvel Legends. I'm like, okay, still 19.99. Still really okay. All right. Okay, you're finally at 22.99. Oh, and now you're at 24.99. Next year, I guarantee they're going to go up another dollar or two. Because they're not where they even should be. They've almost been like not just Marvel Legends. I mean, the toy industry in itself has definitely not been losing money, but the margins I'm sure have been extremely tight the past few years, just because labor is going up so much. And, uh, and yeah, I mean, it's a whole other between screens and kids and the pandemic and the way, I mean, it completely just screwed up children. I mean, I don't want to get all, but I mean, from a psychological standpoint, I mean, having to be, alone or, away from their, um, social group, school, having to wear masks. I mean, that's not healthy for kids from a social standpoint. So there's going to be more of a need for toys than ever, and we're going to see the effects of what we just went through in children is going to last for so long, and that's going to really affect play and what happens with the toy industry going forward.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because yeah, we were all kept inside. We weren't able to go and meet with people, and especially kids, they weren't able to interact, and they were stuck on not only screens for entertainment but also for school and stuff. So yeah, it's going to be a big major shift in stuff in the next few years.
Yeah, yeah, and we'll see. You'll see the reaction in toys. So.
Hmm.
But I mean, there'll always be, the adult collector market until they price out of what we're willing to pay, and that goes to your question about prices.
Hmm.
Quality control, I'm not so sure. Like, I mean, I hear this sometimes, but what do you like? What in particular are you like? You meaning like the sentinel knee issue, or
Well,
like?
yeah, kind of like a combination of things. So yeah, I personally didn't get the Sentinel, but I did see that, and so that's a high price product that's should be a little more put together in my opinion. But then there's also like I don't know if you collect the McFarlane DC Multiverse line. I know it's a lower end figure line, but that one tends to have a lot of QC issues as well. And also the Power Ranger Lightning collection line, that one is a hit or miss on sometimes with the paint apps and stuff. So I don't know, just a combination of just from different ranges of lines.
With things like paint ops, I think a lot of people forget that every single action figure is hand painted. So you're dealing with human error. Uh,
Mm.
Obviously there's going to be mistakes. Like the Hasbro Indiana Jones line had terrible eyes for like the first two. Um, McFarlane, I mean that it's also I think the way they make they're not really making action figures. They're making slightly articulated statues. Um, and they're not really designed to be played with because they'll break. Like I mean I had a family friend's child over and had my DCU Classics Kilowog. It was like literally just smashing it into like the ground and
Oh,
broke his leg.
oof.
That's the way kids play, and
Mm-hmm.
Harlan product. I mean, well, it's age graded above that. It's not like it's a bait and switch or anything. And I think that the reason that like we're sort of taking our expectations for the way a kid designed product should move and articulate and hold together. And the reason that McFarlane is able to sell figures with so much tooling is because they don't make them to last, or they're not designed to hold up under play conditions, if you will. Like that's how people always ask, like, how does McFarlane keep that price point? With so much. I mean, they have so much tooling, like a ridiculous amount.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how because they're not making toys, they're making statues.
Mm. That makes a lot of sense. So, talking on McFarlane, have you heard the latest controversy going on?
Oh, what's the latest one? There's always a latest.
So, So he recently did an interview saying that he cannot do a full wave of female action figures because they won't sell. And he said a few other things that I don't he could have said a lot better, but the gist of it is that he's saying that he doesn't put out full waves of female action figures because he knows they won't sell. He knows he can put out one in a wave, or maybe do like a special edition, collector's set online and sell like a full wave there. But he can't put it in big box retailers like Target and Walmart in the boys section because, he sells to boys. And so business wise, he's thinking, a little kid's not going to want a bunch of girls. So there's a big thing going on right now saying that, like, he's in the wrong and all this stuff. But I think business wise, when you think about it, he may be in the right, because if you look at what sits on the pegs and whatnot, 4 times out of 5, it's going to be a female character if there's a bunch of them. And I just want to know from your perspective, being from the toy industry and stuff, have you seen that, and have you experienced that before?
Yeah, I did a video on this a while back. It's one of my earlier ones, about why female action figures don't sell, and from a factual standpoint. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know what, like, the particular language he used, so I don't want to like say, oh, I agree with Todd. And people like going to put my name under his quote. So instead, I guess allow me to say, fundamentally, what he's explaining, that female figures don't sell, is absolutely true. The biggest fallacy, the biggest misconception that adult toy collectors have is that they're the intended audience for something hanging in the retail aisle. If something's hanging in the retail aisle, it has to be selling to kids, because there are not enough adult collectors to generate the amount of sales that aisle requires, because of the way big box stores work. They require every peg to deliver a certain amount of revenue. And just factually, the number of collectors out there, there's not like, but if you combine us with kids, you get sell-through.
Mm-hmm.
So when we see things like Black Series or McFarlane figures or Marvel Legends or Lightning Collection or G.I. Joe Classified, which one's Signature Series? I don't know. I can't. They all have like their own Amber Collection. We look at that stuff and our instinct is, oh, this is for me. It's highly articulated. It's obscure. There's obscure characters, and the answer is like, it's awesome. You're gravy. But if kids aren't buying this, the line's going to disappear real fast.
Mm-hmm.
And a great example is in Marvel Legends. Look at how many waves have Iron Man and Captain America. Or like the Shang-Chi wave had that was another one, had an Iron Man and a Captain America. They did a Gameverse one a few years back, had an Iron Man, like, and those are the ones that get doubled up in cases, because those are the ones that sell to kids, and we get so emotionally connected. We just don't. It's just so unfathomable that these could be, the bulk of sales could be going to children. But there you go. What Todd said, I'm actually going to have to add that, and maybe make this part of my my weekly, the video. I do like one video a week that's actually like about current events.
Oh yeah, definitely check it out.
Everything else, it's the one on Sundays. All the other videos usually recorded about 30 days in advance, but I kind of saved the Sunday afternoon video for talking about something that's like happening right now. So.
Definitely check it out. Definitely check it out, man. Because like I said, he said a few things that, like I said, he could have said a little better and probably shouldn't have said. But the gist of what he was trying to say was exactly what you said, was that female characters just don't sell well in the boy section. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to ask you, coming from, the toy industry, and also, you hadn't even heard the interview, so that's a very unbiased opinion, and having your knowledge, I don't know how anybody can really argue with that fact anymore.
Even forget me or Todd being experts, just look at the toy aisle. And the answer is, if female action figures sold, they would make more female action. I mean, they're not going to leave money on the table. Like, it's like, if they sold really well, then they would make more of them. Like, and one of the videos on the Spectre Creative YouTube channel I made, besides there's sort of two. One is they're easy to search. If you just search YouTube like Spectre Creative female action figure. I'm sure they'll both pop up. Um, One was about why they don't make females, and yes, because they don't sell to young boys, who are the majority of the customer. But two, that it only takes one. Most young boys only need one female. It's kind of like the Ken to Barbie concept.
Mm-hmm.
Ken is not the doll. Barbie is the doll. Girls buy Ken so that Barbie can go on a date and go out and have adventures. And this has nothing to do with like sexual gender relations. Come on, wholesome play here, okay?
Just playing, just playing.
Yeah, it's like amazing. Like how I hate that. Like I feel like I'm stumbling on ice sometimes. But
Mm-hmm.
all right, so just classic play, right? So Barbie going out with Ken. Ken is the accessory to Barbie. They even made a joke about this, I think, in the Toy Story movies. Like you're just an accessory or something. The same way, and boy, I said this in the video. I thought I was going to get more hate mail. Like Leia, Tila, Chitara, April, they were all there by having a character of the opposite gender, it leads to more dramatic storytelling and more imaginative play because now there's somebody to rescue. There's someone to go on a romance. I mean, there can be a romantic, relationship. There's so much more potential from having, but you only need one. That's the thing. Boys,
Mm-hmm.
like you only need one Ken. You can have 100 Barbies. So you need a whole bunch of Luke Skywalkers, a whole bunch of He-Man, a whole bunch, for all the different environments. But you only need one Princess Leia. She can be your Leia for, she's just there, or Ken is there to create drama and play.
No, yeah.
Storytelling.
No, yeah. I have like 40 different Batmans, but only one Wonder Woman.
And that's exactly, and that's why, McFarlane can't do a wave of all girls. Marvel Legends couldn't do that. Like they did a female Avengers box set once of 5 females, but it was at Comic-Con. Like, I mean, Comic-Con is completely different. That's you're selling directly to the adult collector. Like that's totally different set of rules.
Yeah, I was gonna say you've made that very clear in your videos that when you guys develop product for Comic-Con, it's not aimed for the masses. That you can do more obscure characters or something more directed for the adult collectors because that's exactly who you're getting at that moment.
And I always loved looking at Comic-Con slots, like development slot, as a way to get a figure out that complements a line but would not work at retail for one reason or another, whether it's theme or price point or size. There could be a million different reasons why it wouldn't work at retail. And so you can use Comic-Con to get that character to collectors who that otherwise there wouldn't be sort of an avenue, a vehicle to do that.
No, yeah. So yeah, that's why you said, that box that probably did well at Comic-Con, but if you throw it in big box retailers, I don't know how it would do necessarily there.
Yeah, no, it would. I mean, it's a big problem the toy industry is facing because I think the toy industry is convinced that if they could make genderless toys, like meaning, like a perfect example is the Star Wars Forces of Destiny line, which was dolls of Star Wars characters, mostly females. I'll give you they have the token male, like you get a Luke, a Chewie, but they were selling it in the boys aisle. And if they'd sold that in the girls aisle, it would have done well. But they were
Mm-hmm.
selling dolls in the boys aisle, trying to treat the brand as something that would bring in, all customers of all genders, ages, whatever. But again, that's not how parents shop, and that's not how kids play. Doll play and action figure play are while the toys physically, from a material standpoint, aren't that different. The way children engage with them is completely different, and
Mm-hmm.
that's a big thing too. Is like everyone, so this desire to make these toys that that don't have any gender. I'm not talking about gender like
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
there's girl parts or boy parts. I mean like body types, but more.
They appeal to both.
The problem is that boys and girls play differently. So trying to make this universal toy, like you've got the ball. Okay, there you go. But beyond the ball and like the hula hoop, boys and girls play. Their brains function differently. Well, especially when they're young. I mean, my wife is a psychiatrist. Like, yeah, it's not. so there's not going to be that solution, but it feels like it's like this ever quest. Someone wants to find it.
No, yeah, I think we tend to forget how primitive a child's mind is versus an adult. We tend to put so much thought into everything, whereas, like you said, kids play differently just naturally through how they are. And so for us to try to understand that is the same as a kid trying to understand what taxes and living wage and all this other stuff is.
Yeah, yeah, it's a great way of putting it.
You know, we've outgrown that mentality. We've gained too much knowledge. We've been exposed to the world too much to be able to get back into that headspace as a kid. But, you know, unfortunately, that's who makes toys and stuff are adults.
Yeah, it's a weird, that weird dichotomy.
And most of them aren't even adult collectors either, like you.
Very, I mean, there are some. There are definitely,
Yeah.
but fewer than I think we like to think.
Yeah. So, what are your plans for 2022, Scott?
My plans for 2022. I mean, so there's been a lot of stuff that's been in the hopper that I mean, I can't talk about everything, but there's definitely big announcements to come sooner than later about some product lines I'm working on. Um, I don't know, honestly, just so excited like the world's opening back up and we can go to the movies again. I'm looking forward to Doctor Strange, like going to the movie theater and watching that. Um,
Did you see
yeah,
the new Batman movie?
no, I didn't see the Batman one. Um, and nor did I see Spider-Man, and I'm a huge Spider-Man fan. Like I finally saw it because it's on Amazon now. I was like, thank God I can finally watch the Spider-Man movie. Um, more of it is just having time. Like the idea of having like a 2 hour or 3 hour block to go see a movie. Um, movies are designed for the 10 to 30 year old basically. Like once you have a family, it's like finding time to get to it's like it's not that That's why you don't see movies about people in that age group. It's funny.
They're too busy.
But yeah, no, I'll think I'll try to make an exception for Doctor Strange and make that happen. But yeah, I'm just looking forward to a really productive year. Like YouTube channel's been awesome. I can't believe we're like gonna hit 30,000 subscribers probably within the next month or so. Um, I you know I my big I like I'm always saying I'm always want topic suggestions from people because I put out a lot of content and I don't always know what people are questioning and I've already written down a couple things that we've talked about. I'm like, oh, that's a good idea for a video. I should clarify. So yeah, that's about just looking forward to a positive year.
Well, that's great to hear, man. And I'm glad I can give you a few topics to talk about in the future. I really do look forward to watching those videos because I do still watch your videos all the time and stuff and constantly. And yeah, you do put up a lot of great content. So thank you for providing all that great information for all of us. You know, like I said, you have a very unique perspective, having that 25 plus years of experience working behind the scenes and knowing how the actual industry works from that business standpoint and also having that unique perspective of seeing it from an adult collector perspective. You know, you see both of those. Like you said, we have these emotional attachments, but you having worked both sides, you can say, yes, you know, we want this as collectors, but as a business, if you want other stuff to keep coming and stuff, they can't do that because then they're not going to sell stuff and then you're not going to get what you want. Like you said, you know, most lines you can tell what is it by February or something that if they're going to live or die because of that first wave and how they do at retail.
Yeah, yeah.
So, you know, so thank you so much for providing all that great information. And if anybody wants to know any kind of information, factual about the toy industry, how it works, definitely check out Spectre Creative's channel. He provides amazing, great content. And if you guys love Star Wars toys, he has plenty of content on Star Wars toys.
So I thank you. I appreciate all the kind words, and wouldn't make them if people weren't watching them and enjoying them. So I appreciate every single person who engages with the channel, watches a video, comments. I try to comment back, as much as I can, and it's really appreciative. I really love gauging. It's a great way to connect with other collectors and just talk about what's going on.
No, yeah. So thank you so much, Scott, for doing that. And thank you so much for coming on this channel and giving me some of your busy time. Like you said, you're, a father, you're a business owner, you're extremely busy. So I appreciate you giving me this hour of your day. So I'll go ahead and let you go a little early. You kind of ran through stuff a little quickly, but you answered everything as best as you could and as much as I wanted. So thank you so much. And so yeah, thank you so much. And I hope you have a great rest of your week, man. And I hope to talk to you on the show again.
Yeah, I mean, likewise. Thank you so much for having me, and thanks for accommodating my crazy schedule. It's most appreciated. Definitely, let's do this again. It was a blast.
Sounds good, man. No worries. Thank you so much.
All right, bye everyone on the internet.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining me on episode 10 of Coffee and Toys. Once again, thank you to my guest, Scott Knightlick, toy guru of Spectre Creative. If you don't already follow him and subscribe to him on YouTube, go ahead and check him out. Like I said, 25 plus years of experience on the toy industry, and he gives a lot of great information. So definitely go and check out his channel, guys. And thank you to all of you that joined. I know it was an early one, but like he said, he's a very busy person. So I do appreciate him taking an hour out of his time to come on the show. And I appreciate all of you that watched live, that are watching the replay, that are watching the podcast. Thank you so much for watching, liking, commenting, and also following me over on Instagram at CoolFigurez, Epic Shots by CoolFigurez, TikTok for all my unboxings at CoolFigurez, on YouTube. Thank you for all of you that have subscribed to me at CoolFigurez as well. And join me next week here on Coffee and Toys Live for episode 11, where I will have Rocco the Great here live to speak and talk a bunch of fun stuff. We'll probably talk the Batman movie. We'll talk toy hunting. He also has his new toy Goose Faba, so we'll definitely be talking about that. So yeah, guys, like I said, early Coffee and Toys, but it was a fun one. Thank you so much once again to Scott Knightlick. I really do appreciate you coming on and taking your time to talk some toys and giving your opinion on everything that I asked. And with that being said, guys, have a great fucking day.
Thank you so much for sticking to the end of this video. If you enjoyed those pics, you can find the full images over on Instagram at CoolFigurez. And I do have a separate Instagram account for my more thought out, planned out, more edited pics called Epic Shots by CoolFigurez. Check it out if you like what you see. Leave me a follow there as well. And if you guys want to see the unboxing of any figures I do reviews on for this channel, go ahead and check me out over on TikTok at CoolFigurez. That's where I post all my unboxings. And join me every Sunday morning for Coffee and Toys, a weekly toy news, toy talk podcast where we will go over all the latest and great toy news, reveals, pre-orders, and so much more. If you did enjoy this video, please remember to give it a thumbs up. It really helps the channel grow. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. But whether or not you're a subscriber, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to listen to me talk about toys. I really appreciate it. As always, I'm your host, Jess the Bat Madrigal, aka the Buff Collector. And I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Thank you so much to this channel sponsor, VRare Store. Check them out for all your Funko Pop, anime, Pokemon card, and toy print needs. And of course, use code CoolFigurez at checkout for 10% off your order. VRare Store. Check them out, guys.